bringing Gator Nation a different Gator great every episode.
This is Jabari Gaffney. You're listening to the All for the Gators podcast.
Hey, I'm Earl Everett. You're not a Gator, you're Gator bait.
This is Bo Carroll.
Hey, I'm Rita Anthony.
This is Chris Rainey.
This is Cedric Faison, a.k.a. C4.
This is Jack Jackson. Go Gators, the real number one.
Hey, man, this is Chad Jackson, and you're listening to All for the Gators, man. Here, go Gators.
Hey, this is Jeff Chandler, the all-time leading scorer in Florida football history.
This is Tony George. Go Gators.
Hey, guys, this is Jarvis Moss. Go Gators.
Johnny Rutledge here, and you are listening to All for the Gators podcast.
This is Ben Trooper. You listening to the All for the Gators podcast.
This is Chris Doring, and you're listening to the All for the Gators podcast.
Well, you know, fellas, doing this show and hearing the tons of stories from all these Gator greats, we build a perception, right? Some of the coaches and players we really didn't know much about. And, well, our perception of today's guest is simply this: legend. Coming from Spring Hill, Florida, where he was a four-sport athlete at Springstead High, basketball, track, weightlifting, and football. At 6'4", 270 pounds, he found a home in the ladder at defensive tackle, and there he powered through O-lines, becoming All-State, which in Florida is no small feat. He almost became a Bulldog, but he ultimately ended up a Gator. And in the orange and blue, would rack up over 120 tackles, 9.5 sacks, tackles for losses all over the joint, all of that before a tragic knee injury ended his football career halfway through his senior year. But he doesn't let that define him, though. He is still regarded as one of the greatest defensive tackles to don the orange and blue. He was first-team All-SEC, two-time AP All-American, two-time SEC champ. Gator Nation, listening all around the world, I give you national champion, big number 94, Ed Chester.
All right, another champion, another national champion.
Welcome, Ed.
Thank you.
You know, Ed, thanks for taking the time for us today. When I do my intros, I don't know if you've listened to the show, but when I introduce the guest, I like to do the full name in King's English, and I usually get that off Wikipedia, but I couldn't. There was no Wikipedia for you, so I couldn't throw in your middle name there, so I apologize.
Hey, thank you. I love my middle name. It represents two great men in my life. So.
All right, give it to me, man.
It's Jonathan for both my grandfathers, John and Nathaniel.
Gator Nation, listening all around the world, I give you big number 94, Edward Jonathan Chester.
Now he feels better because he really likes to go in full name. So I think he felt like he was missing something going with just the shorter name.
This means you're now officially a friend of the show. Once your government name is out there, you're officially a friend of the show for life.
I'm good with that.
All right.
Ed, we've been lucky to have a lot of the guys from the 95 and 96 teams on with us, your teammates. And like I said in the intro, you've become a legend on this show. We had your boy T. George on, Tony George, and he said that you would have been an NFL Hall of Famer if you had not gotten injured.
He sure did.
So how does that make you feel to hear that from a teammate 25 years later?
It's an honor. It definitely is an honor that the guys you played with respect your game that much and thought that highly of you, especially for guys like Tony who understand what it's like to play at that level. They played that level and succeeded. So, yeah, it means a lot to me.
So let's take it back a little bit to high school, where John said you played 4 sports. So I got 2 questions. Was football always your favorite?
In high school, yeah, definitely. Definitely football was my favorite. Track was fun too. But, football definitely was favorite.
Okay, so another question that we've asked several former players. When did you realize, all right, I'm bigger and stronger than everyone else on the field?
That probably started in junior high.
We've gotten that answer before, too.
Yeah, that was probably junior high school, but I wasn't that competitive in junior high school, so I didn't use my size like I should have. And it wasn't until high school till I truly figured it out and, use my body properly.
Well, let's talk about the real achievements in high school, Ed. Come on. I'm talking about homecoming king. You had it all, huh? Where are those photos at these days?
Oh, man, my kids still pick at me when they see them.
Oh, no.
The weird part is I didn't want to be homecoming king. My buddies put my name on the list as a joke. They're like, we're going to put Ed on there because we know he doesn't want to do it. And then I won. I was like, I hate you guys. Why did you do that?
Did you have to sit on the back of the car with the queen and do that whole?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of car was it?
Yeah.
What kind of car?
I don't even remember. I was so nervous. The poor queen, she's been a friend of mine since I was in elementary school, and she had to deal with my grumpy behind up there. Oh, jeez, yeah, that poor girl.
What kind of haircut were you sporting back then?
I think that I had the bald head.
Oh,
went to that young.
That early?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I went there too, but it wasn't by choice.
Brother, we're all on that path.
All right. So clearly high school went well for you, and then colleges came calling. We got Florida, Houston, Virginia Tech, Kansas State, Georgia. You even committed to Georgia.
Yeah.
So how'd that come about, and what made you ultimately decide to thankfully come join us at the University of Florida?
I thoroughly enjoyed my visit to Georgia. I love the campus, love the area, but I hadn't really been a bunch of places. After I committed there, the coach tried to talk me out of going to Florida, but I was going to. My host was Dwayne Mobley, a guy I've known from the same hometown. I've known Dwayne, so I wanted to do it anyways. And thank God I did, because I came to UF and realized that's where I needed to be. It checked off all the boxes for me, felt like home, so I made the switch.
Now, I heard an interview where you said John Reeves was the main guy recruiting you, and
yes.
God rest his soul, right? But
Yes.
Spurrier actually said that there was one reason why they recruited you. What was that?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, Coach has a way with words. He said because I had a good-looking mama. He and my mom hit it off pretty well. They're both crazy, so they hit it off pretty well. My dad just shakes his head at it just like I do.
Got to watch out for Coach Spurrier.
That's great.
Oh, man.
All right, let's get back on the rails. So you get to Gainesville in '94, and if I remember it, you redshirted that year. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Okay. So expanding on that a little bit, we've heard some great scout team stories from a lot of guys. How was your experience on the scout team that redshirt year?
Humbling. Very, very humbling. I had Donnie Young and Jeff Mitchell, and Reggie Green basically putting my face in the dirt over and over and over and over again. It was very humbling. I didn't have a big head coming in. I didn't expect to start. So it was, while it was humbling, it was the best thing ever because it made me so much better.
Who was kind of your biggest competition at that point back then?
We had Big Dave Bernard. Dave Bernard was there, who I love Dave. And then we had Keith Council and Mike Moten.
Okay.
And McDonald Ferguson were all ahead of me coming in. And I just managed, one way or another, work my way up through the depth chart. And I think Big Dave actually ended up getting hurt, which gave me an opportunity to start and gain some experience. And then when he was healthy, he started. But other than that, I was in there.
So a lot of guys have said that being on the scout team really, a couple things. One, showed them that they belonged, right? Because they were competing every day, and they were some of the guys thought they were doing better than the guys that were starting. But also, it just gave them great experience. Is that kind of what you saw?
I did. Like I said, I never thought I'd actually start coming into Florida. I thought I'd be a backup guy at best. Because, the guys were gigantic when I got in there. We had some serious All-Americans in there with Ellis and Henry and Kevin Carter. It's like, come on.
Yeah,
guys,
monsters.
I'll never play here.
Yeah, monsters. Right?
But being on the scout team let me work on some things that I never had an opportunity to work on if I was trying to play. And I can learn. And having to go against Donnie and Jeff and Big Green, you can't get much better to go against to get better. And the guys now that want to come in and I want to start right away, no. It's not wrong to be on the scout team or be redshirt. It's not that big of a deal. You learn, you get better. It's worth it.
Mm-hmm. Clearly, you made the most of it when you get on the field. Then in your redshirt freshman season in '95, you start 7 of the 9 games you played in. You had 29 tackles, 2 forced fumbles. Got to be feeling pretty confident about your performance there your first season. How did you feel going at the end of the season there and getting ready from your contributions there?
I was honestly surprised at how well I did. I just did my best every game, and God blessed me to be on a great team where I could flourish. And after that year, I felt really good. A little nervous going into the next year, knowing that I'd have to play a bigger part, but also anxious because I wanted to get a little bit of revenge for the way the season ended.
Okay, guys, I just got a text from Tony George, so I'm going to have to ask this question, Ed. I hope you don't mind.
Oh, geez.
Uh-oh.
He says, ask him about when Spurrier gave us an extra county fair circuit because we got too hands-on with the class of 95 and specifically Bo Carroll walking around with a baseball bat because we damaged his room. Crying emoji face.
Listen, those jokers are lucky they got out of that alive.
Well, tell us, what's a county fair circuit?
So you do all these drills and stuff. It's kind of like conditioning, and it can be punishment too, as we found out. But, we weren't supposed to do certain things to the freshmen, and we did it anyways. And some of them were a little sensitive about the fact of what we did, and somebody decided to tell. And we had an extra county fair, which we did while we were singing, and proceeded to get some payback afterwards. I'll just leave it at that.
What are you singing?
Oh, we were singing all kinds of things. We were just having a blast.
Okay.
The fellas, we understood what it was about, and we understood what was going to happen after too. So.
All right, so that 95, you guys win the SEC championship, but we know the Nebraska title game didn't go as planned. Mm-hmm. We've talked about this on many of our shows, actually. As John mentioned, we've had a lot of 95, 96 players and heard a lot of guys like Riddell, Johnny Rutledge, talked about that loss and the change in the program. I mean, new strength coach comes in, the whole gamut. But what would you say made the biggest difference for you specifically between 95 and 96?
Coach Stoops, without a doubt.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt, Coach Stoops made the difference. Whole new attitude, whole new approach for an individual like myself, I was on the smaller side for a defensive tackle. I was quicker, but I wasn't overpowering anybody. So he switched us to a gap attack defense, and that attitude of how we conduct ourselves on the field, we give up nothing, we don't give anybody anything. They better earn every inch. And the discipline, it's a total game changer bringing him in.
Yeah, I'll stick with I've said it before, I think Spurrier and Stoops is the best combination in the history of college football between offensive and defensive coaches.
Oh, yes.
That mix together was, you saw the results, right?
Yeah.
We all did.
He was part of the result team.
Yeah, he was.
Let's talk about that. Let's go to 96. A huge year for Gator Nation. We know that, and you're a big part of it. 44 tackles, 6 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, 33 big plays, which is a stat kept by the coaches. You're voted first team All-SEC. Johnny Rutledge texted me today and said that you were the glue to their defense, the one that held it together. Do you look back on that championship season, the Gators' first football national championship, and feel your contribution to the team? Football experts always say that football games are won in the trenches, right? That you were a big reason for that team's success that year?
I mean, I would say yes, just for the fact that I started. The success I have was a result. Yeah, I worked hard, but everybody did. But we had some studs across that front seven and some studs in the back that it was hard to pick on any of us. So, if I'm having a good game, you might double team me, but then Reggie's going to hurt your feelings. So it made it easier for me to have success when you have Big Bruiser next to me. And then on the outside, Willie Rogers, Willie Cohen's, Mike Peterson, guys like that, Javon Curse. It's much easier for me to get after it when we have just studs like that around me. So we just had the timing, everything just came together. We had a great group of guys who all worked hard, loved each other, had each other's back, and expected the best of each other. So we gave our best. And it's because of that is why I had success.
Man, I really wish I could feel like that on this show.
Maybe by the next best of show. So man. We've asked a lot of guys this question. Obviously, the era you played, the fun and gun, Spurrier offenses, Heisman for Werfel. Obviously, we remember those big highlight scores, but clearly there was some great defensive football played in the orange and blue in that time. Do you feel that the Gator D doesn't get the acknowledgement that it deserves from that time? Clearly, you had a huge impact on that.
I do. And like I said, it's a product of having absolutely amazing offense. I mean, Spurrier was the offensive genius, and he had true talent to work his magic with. And yeah, the offense was flashy, and they got the props for it. But end of the day, I got my ring, and I don't care.
So where's that ring right now?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I've worn that ring maybe 4 times.
What?
My mom and dad have had it most of the time. I don't wear jewelry, so it just felt weird on my finger. And I gave it to her, and I was like, "Hey, you hold on to this." I said, "You and Dad do whatever you want." I think I picked it up twice, had it at my house for a little while, then gave it back.
Wow.
It's too heavy?
I think I have it now.
Is it too heavy to wear?
I would never take that thing off, ever.
I know. It should be like your precious. I know, a different ring, but come on.
Well, I don't want to turn into Smeagol, but yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to 97. It's your junior year, and you actually end up missing 4 games with an injury, but you still have 28 tackles, 3 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, 20 big plays. Still good enough to earn AP All-American honors. How tough is it to enjoy personal success like that amid the team not having so much success, failing to get to the SEC championship that season?
It's for me, it's really hard because like I said, all these stats you guys are saying is like new to me because I didn't pay attention to it. I just wanted to win games and do whatever. If it meant me holding a water bottle when we won, it is what it is. So to not hit our goals as a team, that really did suck. So, we compared to most of the teams in the country, we had a great year, but for us, we didn't.
It's funny you talk about the stats, though, because we had Chad Jackson on, and he's the same way. I mean, we were teaching him things he never knew before about how great he was, and he was going to go back and look at his stats. But I guess when you're in it at the moment, for us who haven't played, stats, that's all we got is to talk about stats. But you guys that were in the trenches and working hard, I guess it doesn't really mean all that much at the time, right?
No, it doesn't. Outside of, bragging rights and talking trash with the guys with our internal competitions, it really didn't matter. It was cool to see, you get to see your highlights on ESPN or whatever. But outside of that, we just wanted to win. We wanted to beat whoever's in front of us no matter what. Sure.
So speaking of whoever's in front of you, let's talk about when Tennessee came to town with some guy named Peyton Manning. And obviously a big game, a big play from that game everyone remembers was that George big pick 6.
Yes.
But that play never happened if it wasn't for you, right? Well, why don't you tell us about your part in that play and how you remember it?
Most of that game was a blur. But it's, I managed to get pressure on him and, do my part. Because I know I'm not going to get a sack every time, but if I can make him, throw an errant pass with the guys we had in the backfield, I knew that we could pick it off. So getting pressure on him, hitting him, realizing he threw the ball, and then all of a sudden hearing the crowd and looking up and realizing Tony has the ball, I was like, man, today's a good day. It was, a lot. Like I said, the game was a lot of a blur, but I do remember hitting him and that pass being errant, and thank goodness Tony took it.
Yes, he did. So after that season, that off season is an interesting one for you. You could have left for the NFL, but you did decide to stay at UF. Not only that, but you take out an insurance policy in case you get injured. That was kind of, I think, a new thing back then. How did you hear about that, and kind of what made you go that route with the insurance policy?
So I had heard it, from a couple people, but, you're a stupid college kid. It's in one ear and out the other. And then my position coach, Coach Broadway, is the one who really made me get it. I thought he was going to beat me like he was my father if I didn't get it done. And without any, let's say, there was no misunderstanding. You go get that now. And thankfully, the Lord put him in my path, and I went and got it, and the rest is history.
Were a lot of guys getting them back then that we just didn't know about? Or was this something that only a few of you guys, or maybe only you got it that year for the Gators?
None of us knew about it. To my knowledge, after I got hurt, a lot of guys got it. But I think I'm one of the first, if not the only, to collect. So it wasn't popular. But if it was kind of hush hush. No one really talked about it at all.
Yeah, I could see that.
All right, 98, your senior year, you're killing it, right? 20 tackles, 4 tackles for losses, 2 passes defended, 15 big plays through the first 5 games. But then in week 6 at home against LSU, the injury happens. Your knee hyperextends. You tear 3 of the 4 ligaments in it, including ACL and MCL, and you have severe nerve damage. Tell us about the conversation that you're having with the team doctor as you're laying on the field there.
It's actually funny. Well, at first it was funny, then it got serious. Your legs pointing the wrong way, you're screaming, and the funny part is to calm you down, they don't talk nice to you. Adrian Melendez tells me, quit screaming, you're on TV. So I'm stretching his shirt out because I'm yelling in pain, and I pull him down to me after he says that. I said, then fix it. So they pop back in, and I look at Dr. Indelicato. I was like, hey, am I done? And he just looked at me and shook his head and said, yeah, I think you're done. I was like, all right, then it is what it is.
And I heard an interview that I listened to today where you said you actually came to terms with your football career being over that night.
Oh,
so
yeah.
after all your domination in the sport, all state in high school, all American in college, you must have had thoughts of grandeur, of playing in the NFL and all the fame and fortune it was going to bring. Since you were like a teenager, how were you able to mentally accept those circumstances?
There's a couple things that factor into that. One is, don't get me wrong, I love football. But if you gave me a chance to be a professional fisherman or professional football player, fishing might take the win on that. So long as I can fish, life is pretty good. But in the emergency room, when they tell you, hey, we might have to amputate your leg.
Oh, man.
So that night you're hearing, hey, we got to check because my nerves went, like the ability to move my leg, like started going away. And they said, we need to check to make sure artery isn't pinched, because if it is, we have to remove the leg below the knee. Once I found out I can keep my leg, nothing else bothered me.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's got to be
understandable.
Wow, that's an interesting.
That's a great perspective, though, to look at it.
Yeah, very interesting perspective, Wow. That definitely puts things in perspective, right? Walking again or playing football, very different things.
Yeah, because, as much as I wanted to play football in the pros, and believe me, I did want to do it, see what I could do, financial issues. Down the road, I wanted to play with my kids, and that would have been severely hindered if I had lost my leg. So now I can chase them around like I want to.
So what kind of fishing do you do? Is it deep sea stuff, or are you bass fishing? What kind of fishing?
Grew up bass fishing, but I love saltwater fishing, especially inshore. Don't get me wrong, I'll go offshore all day, any day if I can. But I love inshore, and we're fishing out my kayaks now, and my son is hooked on it, so I love it. Inshore saltwater fishing all day.
Andy, you do fishing off your yacht?
Yeah, right.
No invitations?
No.
No, it's just him and Puff Daddy.
No.
That's it.
No.
All right. So again, great perspective with that, but obviously that insurance policy helps set you up for life, and hopefully that was able to help you. But clearly, you have to think of what professional athletes making, especially like today. Clearly, you would have been retired by now. But some of these contracts out there, it's like the net profit of a small country out there. What some of these athletes are making a year. Like, do you ever think about the timing and how that comes into play for you and stuff?
I do. There's a lot of things I'd be able to do if I was, had that income. A lot of different. My family definitely would have been in a different spot. But, I also could have CTE. I also could have, my body torn up even more. So while I do think about it, like I said, I'm a blessed man. God is definitely taking care of me. So, that insurance policy allowed me to do a lot of things I would not been able to do without it. So.
No, that's a great perspective. And the injury ultimately led you to participate in the Boys and Girls Club, right? So big impact on kids. So can you tell us a little bit about that and the kids that you're still impacting today?
Everything happens for a reason. And, went to the Boys and Girls Club. Those kids made a huge impact on me. Definitely has made me a better father going through that experience, and being able to, help a few kids like understand things better, go, life turn out a little better. It was amazing. Amazing parents. The staff there does, bends over backwards for these kids and these families. And it was an amazing experience.
How old are your kids? Just curious.
I have an 11 and 13-year-old.
Okay. Boys or girls?
My daughter is 13. My son's 11.
I have to interject for a second. My daughter turns 13 tomorrow. So, although, Michaela, I know you're not listening, happy birthday, sweetheart.
Awesome. Happy birthday.
Dad's not even listening.
That's all right.
Ed, is your son playing football?
No, not. He's doing wrestling right now. So
okay.
Yeah, he likes to wrestle. So have him in that, and down the road, if he decides to play, we'll have that discussion and see where it goes.
Obviously, you're one of the greatest Gator linemen. What do you think of some of the guys who have followed you? Anyone stand out in particular? Some of your favorites? Anyone remind you of yourself more than others?
I don't know, remind me of myself. But one of the ones that truly sticks out, probably just because I was there, two of them there with him, is Gerard Warren and Alex Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Two of my two of my favorites since that time. Yeah. Great guys. They work hard. They did well. I really love those two guys.
Do you get back to the swamp for some games?
I do from time to time. I don't get as many as I want, but I try to at least make it up for one. And whether I go to a game or not, being in town for that atmosphere is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, I don't know if you guys saw, the Grog House is closing.
Yes.
I don't know if you used to go there or not.
I've been to the Grog House enough to mourn that loss. But honestly, I'm surprised it lasted this long.
Good point.
That is a good point.
I think I went there. Me and my family moved back to Gainesville in, I want to say 2013. We lived there for a few years till I had to move to Georgia for my job.
Okay.
But one night I took my wife and I took her to some places like Copper Monkey. We went to Grog House, and when we were in Grog House, I was like, man, I don't remember it being like this. I mean, I was probably not as sober, walking in that place as I was that night. And that's probably
I can assure you that was the case.
Yeah.
You're definitely not as sober.
Different perspective in the 40s and the 20s, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. My feet were sticking to the floor.
Yes.
It was great. Yeah.
Have you been back to see the new facility?
No, I haven't. One of the guys just sent me pictures. I've got pictures from a couple of guys. Seeing the outdoor practice facility was nice, but I haven't seen the new locker rooms and stuff yet, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I've just seen the pictures, but it looks pretty spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
Do you keep in contact with a lot of the old teammates? Anyone you hang out with recently?
We do keep in contact. A lot of it's through Facebook and Instagram because all of us run crazy. But Mike Moten lives in this area, so I get to see Mike. Mike's a great dude. And then, of course, whenever I'm up in Gainesville, I go see Deke. Being best friend and all. So we do keep up, but a lot of it's on Instagram or Facebook. But it's fun when we get in town and get together.
Sure. So going back to your playing days, is there a favorite play or sack or something that sticks out in your mind? And if so, who was it against, and do you remember when it was?
So it's Arkansas.
The SEC championship?
Yeah, because the reason it sticks out in my mind because it was probably the first what I consider a true big play that didn't even go down as a big play, but I didn't know where to line up on the goal line. And I remember asking Dave Bernard, like, where do we line up? Because I'm a stupid young guy, don't know what I'm doing. I'm freaking out. He says, just line up there and go. I was like, all right. So I ball snap, run up field, managed to beat the offensive lineman, and actually tackle the quarterback. As his knee touches, he pitches it. And when he pitches it, Ben Hanks grabs it, takes it all the way down for a touchdown. I'm not even on the field when Ben scores because I'm so tired that I'm running straight off the field. and I'm on the sideline before Ben even scores. And the guy's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I just want to sit down. I want to sit down."
So basically, any big play from the Gators defense between 95 and 98 started with you disrupting a play, right? Let's get that straight.
Sounds about right. Yeah. That's the kind of insight you get only here on All for Gators podcast.
It's all for the Gators, Sid. The Gators.
I got to listen to the show. I'll learn the name eventually.
Okay. So today you're doing what? Personal training in St. Pete?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
So, yeah, I actually got the job because started personal training in St. Pete because of an old Gator guy I met in college that was here in St. Pete, was a personal training manager. I applied for a sales job. He saw my application and said, "Nope, you're going to be a personal trainer with me." And the rest is history.
Wow.
And then, so now, geez, I don't even know how long I've been doing this. 15 years now.
Who are you training? Are you training kids or teams or adults?
Everyone from, geez, the youngest I've trained has been 9, and the oldest I've trained has been 86.
Wow.
That's a big spread.
It is, but I love the variety. It's not the same thing all the time. And recently I started my daughter's friends. They do a little boot camp once a week, and they are awesome. I have so much fun with these kids, training them. I have a great time. So I like all ages, all ages and abilities. Everybody gives you something different. And especially my older clientele, I get to learn so much from them. They have such amazing lives, and I love learning from them.
Good deal. Good deal. Hey, how's that knee doing these days?
My knee's pretty good, surprisingly. Like I retore my ACL kickboxing.
What are you doing kickboxing with that knee?
Listen, you gotta enjoy yourself, man. You gotta enjoy life.
I would put my leg up for the rest of my life, and I would be wearing my national championship ring.
Yes.
Yeah, the knee's good enough. Like I said, I did martial arts, and
wow.
Actually, the knee's pretty good.
That's great, man. All right, let's end with this, Ed. We usually do a bit at the end of the show, and we're going to do what we call a 5 for 5. I'm going to name 5 of your teammates, and you tell us the first word that comes to your mind. Are you ready?
Oh, geez. Okay.
Javon Curse.
Freak.
Johnny Rutledge.
Solid. Just a solid man.
Tony George.
Hard hitter.
Bo Carroll.
Furby.
What was that?
Furby.
Furby? What is that?
The guys that understand.
Okay. Fred Weary.
Hilarious.
Really?
Yeah, I love Fred. He was so funny.
I mean, we get that for James Bates. I don't think we've gotten that for Fred Weary yet.
Yeah, Fred. I've had some great times with Fred, and he actually calmed my mind quite a bit one day when it came to the league, and I can't thank him enough for that.
We do tend to get the same response when we say Javon Curse, though. Everyone pretty much right away says freak.
I'd never seen anything like that in my life. That boy, woo.
And I'll tell you, I want to get him on the show, and he's very friendly on social media with the show. He'll interact.
Yeah.
He'll like things. He'll put emojis on. But have not yet been able to get him on the show. He's one of our, probably I would say, in our top 10.
He's very busy.
Oh, I'm sure.
But a guy who had the success and the name the reputation of Javon, he's a big kid, and I've never seen anything but a great attitude, nice, loving guy ever from him. Javon. I love his attitude. I love the way he lives life and approaches it.
Great to hear.
All right. Ed, man, thank you so much for taking the time out for us today. Not just a Gator great, national champion, one of the greatest Gator defensive tackles of all time. And it was truly an honor for us to have you on today, and you were more gracious with your time. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. This was great.
Thank you, fellas, for having me on. I truly appreciate it.
Another national champion on the show.
But you're going to get the whole team, I think, the way you're going.
Yeah.
We're filling out a full squad here now. We definitely have improved the strength of our defensive line on this show guest here. That's excellent.
I'm not trying to get players all from the same era. I am literally sending out invitations to all our favorites, all the Gator greats. And we've had others scheduled in there, but, you know, a lot of their schedules are busy and some, you know, get rescheduled and moved. And it just happened that, like, 3 in a row were from the same team era.
Come on, John. I want to hear about the SEC battles of the 1950s. Let's get some old school Gators.
Hey, if I was on a national championship team, I'd want to talk about it too.
That's right.
Absolutely. All right, guys, you ready for our 2 bits?
I'm always ready for 2 bits, but I'll wait for you guys.
Yep, that's the rules.
That's it.
Andy, I'm going to throw it to you first. I've gone first the past couple times.
Okay, let's see. I got 2, but I'll go.
Did I catch you napping?
No, I got it.
Okay.
I was in my head thinking which ones I wanted to go with, and I think I'm going to go with the that he knew the night that he was injured, he was done. And then kind of the story about really does put it in perspective. They're telling him, we're going to try to save your leg. Like, I guess that does kind of put things into perspective, right? Jeez.
Absolutely.
That's got to be crazy, though, to have the incredible career he had, and I'm sure he would have gone pro. And senior year, 1 game, that's it. It's over.
Yeah, that senior year, he was on pace most likely for a consensus All-American year that year.
No, he was a beast.
The stats you read for 5 games are better than some all-stars getting the whole season. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, no, he's a beast.
Absolutely. But we talk to guys, though, who say, like, they wish they came back. And this is actually the opposite. I wish for his sake that maybe he left a year sooner. Imagine how different things could have been for him.
No, but if you think about it, I wonder if, like, today's advancements in the surgeries and stuff, if he would have had a chance to play again, or if it was just that devastating even today.
He could have come back a year later or something, or maybe he would have been a 4th-round pick instead of a 1st-rounder.
Yeah, I mean, you hear about it all the time, right? These guys are tearing.
It's true.
Yeah, they tear every ligament in their knee, and then a year later they're back and they're playing.
All right, I'm going to give you my 2 bits, and, man, unfortunately it has to do with the knee injury. I don't want to dwell on it because this whole episode was really celebrating everything Ed achieved as a Gator, which was impressive. But one thing that really caught my attention was when I think, Sid, you were asking him about viewing or seeing the deals that are out there in the NFL now, you know, and if he ever thought about, you know, what he could have had. And his response was, well, you know, he also could have had CTE or a torn up body.
Mm-hmm. It's the right answer.
So his perspective on looking at that whole situation is commendable. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think I would. He's a better man than I don't think I'd be able to handle something like that.
Oh, my goodness.
So I was very impressed with that answer.
Okay. Well, he really had just an awesome attitude in general. Like the injury definitely doesn't define him, and he probably doesn't feel like. He seems like the kind of guy who probably doesn't think of his football career as kind of defining him either. You heard him say he would be just as happy to be a Hall of Fame professional fisherman, I should say, as he would be a professional footballer.
That's right.
It seemed like he's just a really good dude who appreciates everything that the world has given him and just goes about his business trying to be the best guy he can. And, man, what better way to represent Gator Nation than someone with an attitude like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, really positive.
So my 2 bits, I'm going to stand up and holler and point out yet another Gator great, bringing up the importance of the practice squad and how that paid dividends to him and made such an impact in his career, and how the competition he had with the other guys ahead of him and how it prepared him for all the success that came his way really gives respect to the process. And a lot of the other players have spoke of this as well. But, I mean, it is very rare.
Well, can I interrupt you there, Sid?
Definitely.
Because I really like this point. But this was the first player that spoke about the scout team that didn't say that he did well or dominated. I mean, he got his butt kicked.
He did say that.
And he told us that.
Face in the dirt.
And how do you imagine Ed Chester getting his face in the dirt is unbelievable.
I think he's just being humble. I can't really picture that.
Yeah, so
No, but I mean, think about it. What he said when he got to UF, he was thinking he was going to be, he'll be a backup. He wasn't thinking he was going to start.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, Sid. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm pretty good, though.
Were you done with your 2 bits?
I am bitless. I am without bit.
Oh, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, another episode of All for the Gators. We're going to be doing that March bracket.
What's the name of the show again? One more time.
All for the Gators. Got it? All for the Gators podcast.
I got to look it up because I apparently have some shows to listen to.
That's right. And look for the March bracket. We're going to do King of DBU. And it's going to be heated. It's going to be hard to narrow it down to 16 So everybody on social media that's going to vote, we need everybody's vote because it's going to be a tight fit in there to get 16 defensive backs from the Florida Gators in there. There's going to be some cut, and people aren't going to be happy. So we're warning you now, but we're going to get an awesome, brand new Angry Post segment out of it.
Yes. Bring the anger and the venom towards John so he can send it to us so we can read it on the show.
Friends out there, let's not be so angry. Let's follow the path of our friend of the show, Ed Chester. Let's all be good people. Let's not be so angry. But if there's any angry ones, the funnier the better. We'll take that.
All right, guys, it's a wrap.
I think it's about that time.
I think we're ready for our next best of.
Go Gators.
Go Gators!
Oh, go Gators.